so much. So we're talking to Karen Keith, and she is the owner of Fjord Horses. We are at Norway House here in Fairfax for the Norwegian Christmas Festival. This is the first day, so we've got another day and another weekend to go.
Okay. So tell me about this is Bella.
No, this is Fia.
Oh, this is Fia. And tell me about her tricks.
Well, she's very bright. I mean, most of these horses are relatively bright, but she's, on the one end of the bell curve and very interested in doing things and knowing everything. So she does do tricks. I'm trying to remember what the first thing I taught her was probably the bow, and we just haven't done these things in a while. But otherwise, she will walk over a teeter board. She lets me ride her with a 12-foot wooden pole to do what's called the rope jump. And most horses aren't supposed to do that. No, you're not carrying something like that. That looks like a big whip. But we eventually do, like dancing around. Oh, it is beautiful. It's a Spanish thing, but she actually has a lot of the Baroque qualities of Spanish horses.
So are we going to try it?
I'm going to try her really quickly here and see if she works for carrots, but right now she says, I got lots of grass. Do I need to work? Let's see.
That's true.
Yeah.
She's loving the grass, isn't she?
Yeah, I haven't had her on grass for a few days. Are you ready? So I use this just simply as an extension of my arms. So I'm going to tap her a little bit under here and say, ta-da! She's thinking about it. She says, but I still got the grass. Here we go. Good girl. Good girl. Yeah. Good girl.
Thank you.
So she's been clicker trained, which is why you'll hear me make a noise with my tongue when I click.
Do that again.
No, normally it means a treat is coming.
Okay. All right. We want to.
So, Fia, head up just a moment for a minute. Just for a minute, okay? Come here. Are you happy to be here today? Girl.
I heard the click.
Yes. So normally at clicker training they have a little clicker in their hand.
Yeah.
But with horses my hands are very busy with other things.
That's right.
So you can make it could be a good girl, but that's said all the time. So this is a very distinctive sound. And they both know it, my dogs know it. It just makes life easier.
So she has a great, smart personality, and she sort of likes to be involved and engaged.
She has to be involved in everything you do. Bella, on the other hand, she keeps an eye on things, but she can keep an eye on from the distance. This one has to be right on top of you. What you doing? No, I'm just picking things up. Cleaning up your stall.
Are you picking up the rice paper?
Well, occasionally she has been known to dump the wheelbarrow for me.
Oh.
After I've just filled it.
Well, aren't you a clever girl?
Yes.
Yes. So tell me about the mane. This is their natural color.
The natural color, and also these horses, their mane tends to be more stiff than other horses, and it's very thick. You see a lot in here. So because of that, we can treat it like topiary and do fun things. The traditional cut is just an arc. I had to take hers off because I let it get too long, so it was falling over. And so I took the whole thing off a month ago to start again. Fia's is stiffer than Bella's. Bella has a softer hair coat, so it falls quicker. Fia's can be 7 inches tall and it's still standing up, but she looks silly with it.
I think some Mohawks would be really jealous of this.
Yes.
And someone who wants to achieve a Mohawk hairstyle would be jealous.
But the coloring, all of them have it because what they have is they have this dorsal stripe that goes down. Hers is a bit faded up here, but you can see it all the way through the tail and in through the ears. It is one of the things that you get with a dun-colored horse. And these are all done. We have bred them to be homozygous for dun. Okay. And there's 5 different colors of dun that registry recognizes.
5 different, okay.
Yes. Because most people think of this as done, Bella's coloring,
Yeah,
because it's the most common.
yes.
But there are, this one is called an ulsblad, which in Norwegian, change it over, means wool dun. And we here in the States call her white, or white dun. Bella is considered a brown dun. There's a gray dun and a red dun, and then there's a yellow dun as well.
Beautiful. Really, really beautiful.
So dun is a, turn to your better side there, sweetie. Dun is simply a gene that
All right.
dilutes the base color of the body, and she has got 2 different dilute genes.
She thinks I'm holding a carrot.
Could be. It could be. She had to check. She has to know everything. So Bella's got, she is homozygous for dun, but underneath that, if she didn't have any dun gene, she would be a bay-colored horse, which would mean she'd have a red-brown body with black mane and tail and black points up the legs.
Still very beautiful, but this is the characteristic. So
Well, we do like the duns. This one
Yeah.
has 2 different dilute genes. She also starts out as a bay horse, which is why she's got the black coloring here.
interesting.
And
Okay.
she's got the dun gene as well as the same gene that creates palominos and buckskins.
Oh, wonderful.
So
Yeah.
that's another dilute that just diluted the brown out even further to this
Okay.
white or near white.
All right. That's so interesting. Well, tell me about how long you've had them and
Okay.
what it's like having them in your life.
I've had 4 fjords now. Had 2 20 years ago, and then I moved overseas, so I had to sell them. And when I came back, I bought these 2. Now, Fia came out of Germany. She's an import, and I had the opportunity to go to Norway to the stallion testing. It lasts for a week, and I was over there with some folks, and I knew I was going to be meeting the folks from Germany. Got to go to their farm afterward because I wanted a white dun and I wanted a filly, and they had a white dun stallion. So I got to visit the farm and start shopping for horses, and it wasn't until I got back here that she was born, and they called me and said, "I think your horse was just born." So I bought her sight unseen, more or less.
Yeah.
And Bella, she came out of South Dakota, and from a Norwegian couple up there who was raising Norwegian Fjords. And I was looking at her while I was still overseas. I was looking on the line, and there was something about Bella in her pictures that I thought, that's my horse. And she waited for me. She waited for me to get home, and I bought her. She comes from stock, a heavier stock. You can see she's much heavier, where Fia is lighter in bone, and she's more sporty. So that one it would not be unusual to find her pulling logs or doing some sort of manual labor, where this one has been bred as a riding horse. Not to say that one's not a riding horse. And so they're of different types and different temperaments, but they're both good as gold. This one, if you want to go someplace, get on her and go someplace, she's ready. She's ready to go. Well, Bella, you get on her and she'll stand while you get on her, and she'll go, "Okay, what do you want to do?" "Oh, we're going to walk?" She'll always say, "Let's take our time." This one is speedy. So she's fun to ride, and I compare them to a sports car and a pickup truck. Sports cars are fun, but you don't want to be without a pickup truck. So if I don't want to think when I'm riding, or if I just want to kind of relax, or if I want to put someone else on a horse that's not used to them, they'll go on Bella.
Fun.
And not to say that this one's difficult, but she's just ready to go right away. You get in that saddle and she's like, "Hey, I've got that." So
You were saying something earlier about their personality and how they're like Norwegians, and do you want to say more about that? That was a fun little.
well, we owners have found, and we often say this, they are like their their Norwegian ancestors and the people who bred them originally. They're stoic and they're stocky and good in the cold. And they are just very pleasant. They generally are not making a fuss. I mean, sometimes something odd they'll see, but usually it doesn't wind them up, and they're just easy to be around. And I go out to my barn every day to feed them and take care of them, and I just go, it's just pleasant. It's pleasant to be around them because they're not any trouble. And, you know, I've had them, both of them now for 15 or 16 years, so they've been part of my herd. And they know me, they know what to expect, and they do things for me that they came through the kitchen today.
That's right. Well, they came into this venue. There's a lot of people here now. They walked through the kitchen, and they're just having, you know, they look totally like they're in their own living room in this little pasture we've created.
And that is quite normal for them. You know, they came in, and they've been here before. They have been here several years, but this is the first time it's been this populated. We usually have the backyard to ourselves. And so they came in, and I was a little wound up, and I thought, no, I need to breathe because they're going to catch me. But they came in, and they're like, oh, okay, this is different. And then they just plowed on it ahead and came in and said, yeah, we know where the grass is. Good to get to the grass. And that's one thing with the fjords. They are very much, they love their food. And they will find the first patch of grass rather than run off brainlessly. They'll say, that's a good place to be. So anyway, yes, they're wonderful animals, and I haven't ridden a whole lot in the once COVID started, I stopped riding because I thought, oh, I don't want anything to happen and have to go to the hospital. Not that these horses ever put me in the hospital, but you know, it's one of those things you start thinking about. And then I started working again, so I don't have as much time, but I take care of them twice a day, and I'm there with them all the time. And it's pleasant just as having them as pets. But I got on this horse a couple of weeks ago. I hadn't been on her in 4 months. And I put her on the trailer, and I went to a public ride, and she said, okay. And that is wonderful. It is wonderful that I can leave them for 6 months or a year or whatever. It's not recommended, and some people would gasp, but I mean, they're being taken care of, they're just not being ridden. And yet, I put a saddle on them, and they say, okay, no problem. And that's really nice. You don't have to ride them down. You don't have to work with them on a lunge line to say, okay, let's get rid of your extra energy. No. Well, they were all-purpose horse for the agricultural and just general, anything that was being used, a horse would be used, you know, horse-drawn vehicles and so forth, and riding in Western Norway.
I'm so glad you. This is our lodge, and we have all our programs and meetings right here in this room. And this event helps us raise funding to support those programs. And since February, we've been procuring these items from Europe. And we start with Christmas, and we have paper goods, and handmade goods, and baked goods, and giftware, and kitchenware. And then you got to go meet the horses and the Lunahuns.
They're both mares, which makes them hers.
So what's her name?
Her name is Fia, and Fia came from Germany.
Oh, really?
Her sire was he was an import from Norway to Germany. And when I went to that stallion show, I met the breeders there, and they were some friends of mine here. So I stayed with them, and I told them I wanted a white filly. When I was living in England at the time, and I said, we're getting ready to move back to the States, and I want a white filly, and that's what souvenir I want. And they said, well, we've got a few at our farm. So I went, right before leaving England, I flew to their farm in Germany and spent a weekend. And they had a couple of white fillies on the ground, but she's like, no, you don't want that one. And then there was one that was very, very nice, but also very shy. And I said, I can't deal with a shy horse. I want something that's outgoing, and she's that one. But I never even saw her. Because she wasn't born yet. I moved back to the States, and they called me a month or so later, and she says, "I think your foal was just born."
Wow.
So I had to wait for 11 months to get her because they can't import them before 10 months, and then a month in quarantine. And then I went and picked her up. Bella came out of South Dakota, from a very nice Norwegian couple. The last name was Chorsvig. And they had 50 horses at the time because they were breeding. And she was for sale, and I was looking at her for sale online while I was still in England. And I thought, something attracted me to this particular horse. And so, you know, I was watching her for 6 or 8 months, and she's still there, still there. She waited for me. So again, I called them, and I arranged to go up there, and I flew up to North Dakota and had to drive into South Dakota. And I'm driving along going, I hope this car doesn't break down because there's nobody. I'm on an interstate and there's nobody. So I found them in their farm, and we got to tour around. And the lady actually had a half sister to this one. That had been imported several years before, and she had bought it from someone else. And I just waved this under your nose a little bit. Would you like to work? Would you like to do some work? Well, she knows they're in play now. All right.
Oh, yeah.
Back up for me. Right here. Now, Bia, you ready? Ta-da!
Oh, wow.
Good girl.
Where's the carrot going? You know?
There you go. Good girl.
Now this one's over here. It's like, hey, wait a minute.
It's like, wait, what's she doing? All right. Oh, she's sorry. She'll throw these things at me. Do you want to go home now? Are you ready to go home? Come on, you can go. Are you ready to go home? Thank you. We haven't done this in a very long time.
There's a carrot.
You're going to stay here and talk to these people today for a little while. Stay here. Yeah, that's a good idea. Good. Good girl. What else can you do? Yeah, normally I have equipment with me, but she does equipment. She walks on bridges and teetered boards and stands up on a platform.
Tell us again, you told us yesterday about a Spanish ritual with a big stick and the ride.
Oh, well, I would direct you to YouTube, and the word is a Spanish word, garocha, Garocha, and it is it's an art form now, but it's actually what the bullfighters, not the bullfighters, but the people who actually work the livestock. So those bulls and even the cows are very aggressive. So they carry a long pole, and it's got a point on it, but it's to keep they want to move the cattle around, but it's to keep those cattle from, goring you or the horse or something. Well, like everything, much like our rodeo, roping calves was a function that you had to do, and they now make it a sport. Well, with Garocha, these people would take these poles and they will, you plant it in the ground, and then you might ride in circles. You have to ride with one hand, which is an art form in itself. And there's ways of twirling underneath the stick with your horse.
Oh, wow.
Oh, it's beautiful, and it really helps the horse and the rider. I mean, I love doing it because it's just fun. But you move around, and when they're really good, they're galloping around, stopping and doing these twirls and pirouettes and all kinds of things. But there's now a very popular horse sport that has just come in the last 10 years. But again, it comes out of the bullfighting people because they need a horse that's very handy. And if you've ever watched a horse in a bull ring move away from a bull sideways, and you've got to have a horse that knows where its feet are and knows where that point of that horn is, but is still willing to be in there. And so this new sport is called working equitation. Again, look it up on YouTube because it's beautiful, especially the top layers. We have a big working equitation route here in Northern Virginia now. And again, they're asking the horses to do obstacles in a ring. And there's one of them is picking up the Garocha pole and spearing a ring on top of a cutout of a bull. So something that they would be doing. And it's great fun to watch. Again, at the very top, it's just beautiful. But for those of us who do it at the lower levels, we see ourselves like these top people. We may not look like that, but that's what I'm doing.
Imagine yourself